Hello everyone. Something I find very annoying has to do with the pain situation. Yes, being in pain is annoying, but worse is when you go to the doctors or hospital and they assess you because you're in pain and they do not believe you. Now, luckily for me, I'm already medicated. As you would expect, they gave me the normal medications that you would keep off of YouTube live streams for fear of being labelled as Al Capone's next customer. But the way they test you is so annoying. Meet the pain scale. If you don't look like you're in pain, then you are more likely to be treated like an addict looking for a fix. I do not think that is fair to people like me and others who use these medicines. The ones I take come from a certain flower that we shan't mention that was used in the war. But just because I take these medications, they will respect me because a doctor has already prescribed me. But if you're trying to get this kind of medication and you don't look the part, be prepared that invisible disabilities are not always taken seriously. And I'm not just talking about pain either. A lot of people don't believe I have autism because I can converse and also because I'm female. Yes, I do understand that there are people out there who have ulterior motives for these medications. But everyone should be given the benefit of the doubt at first glance, so you don't make this mistake. Because I am in pain 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and I dread the day that I'm going to have to be assessed again. Because I'm used to growing up with the mindset of gritting your teeth and getting on with it. I have done that my entire life, so I'm not used to wincing in pain. But that doesn't mean that my pain is not 100 out of 10. It just means that you don't see it. And women are more likely to be undiagnosed because we deal with it a lot and keep going. So, going back to the pain scale, if they're going back to how much pain you're in based on the display of agony that you're in, then that's going to be very difficult to get diagnosed because I don't make a lot of noise. I'm used to being in pain. I also don't always have the right facial expression because I'm so used to not making a fuss due to my misophonia and autism, so I can easily be overlooked if someone is not with me to explain. To explain your pain is one thing, but also to express it, that's a different thing. If I were to express my pain all of the time, I would have to be screaming and shouting, and my ears could not take that. So I end up keeping the British stiff upper lip and carrying on. But in my head, I am screaming. But only in my head, because my ears would tell me off. For me to outwardly show emotion when it comes to my pain, I have reached beyond the pain scale. Even crying is painful. So what would normally make most people cry, I try not to. So I use my words. But yeah, the pain scale is not the best thing for most people, because if you're introverted or autistic or just shy, it's rare that someone is going to be able to express that. It's rare that someone is going to be able to express that they feel like someone has hit a hammer against their skull over and over again, or their elbows or their joints in general when talking to a person whom they're not comfortable with. And the problem is with people like me is that it's easy to wonder why we don't do a lot of talking. Why don't we express ourselves at the doctor? Why do we need to have someone with us? It's because we are comfortable with that person, so we've told them everything, but the person that we're talking to maybe doesn't give us injections or take our blood pressure or cause pain. Say I take my nan with me. I'm not scared of my nan, so I can tell her everything. My nan is not scared of the doctor, but then my nan is not possibly going to get a blood test, and even if she is, it doesn't bother her. But I am terrified of needles, don't like the doctors. Waiting rooms are very noisy, so my misophonia will make me mute anyway. And then, on top of that, I have to talk to a person who decides whether I get relief or not. It is too much, and that's my point of view. Someone else who's not autistic, but might be an introvert, might be different, and I'd love to hear your experience in the comments. But yes, the scale needs improvement, and yes, for visible things, that's when I'll tend to go to the doctor, because by then, it's rather obvious, because I avoid it at all costs, because if I do, I'm going to be dealing with all the above. To give you an example, at this point in time of recording, I feel that my pain is 100 out of 10, maybe higher, but you wouldn't know that from speech because I'm used to it and doctors know that. They are not likely to believe me. Doctors have my notes, they know my condition, so I'm okay. But for people who are having their first assessment, it would be very difficult for you, because if you're like me and you're shy or you're used to biting down and bearing it, be prepared to take an advocate with you. Also, I have spoken about the pain, but this also applies if you have ME or you have arthritis as a child or autism as a woman. I cannot tell you the amount of times I've had people not believe that I have arthritis because I'm a child, or autism because I'm a woman, because I can speak and hold a conversation. I think another dangerous one is depression, because if you see me at the doctor, I've had to pry myself out of bed and convince myself to go, and then the fresh air will put me in a slightly better mood. But then when I get to the doctors, I may not look depressed, so they may not help me. Also, I am used to being in pain 24 hours a day with my arthritis and fibromyalgia, but I'm not used to having a headache, so when I'm ill, sometimes I forget that my headaches and migraines can incapacitate me, and then people realise how much pain I'm in. But because I can function with the joint pain, sometimes that could stop me from getting help, because I'm used to having the pain. Sometimes I forget to mention that I need help with it, because it's there all the time, like an unwanted guest that's living in your house. It's been there for years and you're used to it being there, that if it was gone, you would be surprised. At the same point in time, you don't like it, but you're so used to it that you forget until someone brings it up. The only beings that were able to alert me sometimes to my pain that I was used to were my pets, because they could smell it and remind me to have a hot water bottle or take the medication I needed. One of the things I find annoying is when doctors ask you how much it hurts. I don't know how to answer that question. I'm not crying over it because I'm used to it, but I need relief from it so that I can function in society. It's stronger than the need of paracetamol and ibuprofen. It's definitely an ouch, but if I was to express it, I would have to be screaming non-stop, and my ears would never forgive me. However, that could cause a doctor to not believe me. It is such a vicious cycle. Anyway, if you have experienced an invisible disability, whether it be mental or physical, let me know in the comments below. I hope you get what you need, because no one should have to go through this. If you're still here, then you're handsome, and you're beautiful, and you, well, I'm speechless. I'll let you know next time I see you. Over to the pets. Hello all, this is Sylvie. If you liked what you saw, then subscribe for more.
Hey everyone, my name's Bonjo. If you enjoyed yourself, then give it a thumbs up and share it with all your friends.
Hi everybody, I'm Jack, and if you had fun, then comment down below and let my mum know what's the worst pain you've been in.